And welcome back to the circus, because you know what that means, delusional time. No, I'm kidding, but in today's video, I thought for Fanfic Friday we could read Yellow, another Camren fanfic. That's pretty much what these are gonna be, just Camren. But I read this once years ago, and I sadly don't really remember much. We're just gonna reread this again, because I never really got to the other colors, green and blue. I don't know which order they go in, but I think I remember Lauren going back to Camila's house for some reason. She went into her room, but I felt like it was abandoned. I felt like she broke in. I don't even know. I don't even know. We're on chapter 1. Lauren had never loved the city. Everything was so busy, and she was only one person. She could never keep up with all the commotion happening 24 hours a day. But the New York Academy of Art was her dream school. And when she'd gotten accepted, she decided she could deal with living in the city. After all, she was living alongside her 3 best friends. Everyone assumed Lauren was living the dream. Oh, she's in New York, and she just had her live that she would never live in New York. Can we talk about it for a second? Did she not tweet how she wanted to move to New York one day? And then now she would never? Guess times change, huh? She probably only says that because Camila, but whatever. Which she was, no doubt. After living in Miami for so long, Lauren was itching to get out. That's why immediately following her graduation, she took off into the sunset and arrived in New York City the next day. The next day? Dang. How are you gonna leave Miami for New York? I'm trying to get up out of Tennessee and go to like Miami or Los Angeles. Like California. I gotta go somewhere. I'm done. Like, I would love to go to Miami. Like, the beach. I'm just trying to go by a beach. Just to have, like, a beachfront, like, property and just, that's a dream. Okay, I'm freaking out. I'm getting off topic. Moving to New York had been a dream she shared with her 3 best friends. Lauren, Allie, Dinah, and Normani had all grown close in their freshman year of high school after working backstage on the school's production of The Little Mermaid. The Little Mermaid. Camila. Okay. So when she drew green eyes on Ariel, what? Why does she see green eyes everywhere, first of all? I'm getting off topic. I apologize. When their junior year came around, they saved up enough money, sent in their college applications, and realized that they could actually make their dream a reality. This is giving me inspiration. I need to do something with my life. And now here they were, 2 months into the fall semester of their first year of college. Lauren loved how her life was turning out, but she couldn't help but feel increasingly lonely. It's not like she didn't have friends, because she had plenty of them. There was just something missing. I guess Camila's missing. Your love life? She's just like, dang. Do people really sit around and just think something's missing, like they need a significant other? Like they need to date somebody? Is that really what happens? I don't feel that, but I'm just wondering if that really does happen. Her sophomore year, news had got out that Lauren was gay. Oh, no! How dare she? She expected her 3 best friends to turn away from her. What? But surprisingly, they could care less. As they should not care. They stood by her side during the incessant bullying she received. Lauren was forever grateful for her roommates. Without them, she'd be nowhere near as happy as she was now. I mean, if they would have rejected you, I'd have been like, deuces, time to get new friends. Simple as that. But in some ways, her sexuality held her back. It wasn't exactly hard to come across another lesbian, especially in New York. But Lauren was extremely inexperienced when it came to any type of relationship. So out of fear, she kept to herself. I relate to this, but I relate to just being in fear and just... The moment she pushed the door to their shared industrial apartment open, Lauren was greeted by her 3 roommates. Or should she say 2, considering Allie was asleep on the couch. Normani and Dinah looked up from their phones and smiled in greeting to the dark-haired girl. So they're just cooking. Oh no, okay. I don't know where I'm getting cooking. Maybe I want to cook. You'll never guess what happened today. Dinah gushed, forgetting about her phone and following Lauren into the kitchen. Look, see kitchen now. Do you remember that cute foreign kid in my hip-hop class? She asked, but didn't wait for Lauren to respond. He asked me for my number. The Polynesian girl clapped her hands together excitedly, and Lauren couldn't help but laugh. I didn't doubt you for a second when you told me you'd make it happen. Lauren teased, letting her backpack slip off of her shoulder and onto the floor by the doorway. I was going to slip. Dinah crinkled her nose. Crinkle just reminds me of fries. Crinkle cut fries. I don't know. But anyhow, Dinah crinkled her nose at her roommate and hopped up onto the counter. So what's for dinner, Lo? Rolling her eyes, Lauren sighed. You couldn't have befriended a culinary major? That would have done us all a favor. Allie exists. Okay. I'm tired of being the only one who knows how to cook. In real life, Allie is shook. She opened the pantry, scanning to see what she could throw together and call a meal. I got it, Dinah called, causing Lauren to turn around in confusion. She hadn't even heard anything. Forgetting about dinner, she followed the other girl towards the door. Dinah's face held an unreadable expression when she opened the door, and Lauren instantly grew confused. They rarely got visitors, and when they did, it was usually someone in the wrong apartment. Hi, the cheery voice rang out from behind the door. Lauren instantly felt sick to her stomach. She jogged over to Dinah's side to make sure she wasn't hallucinating, and she sure wasn't. Camila Cabello? Man, already? Dinah asked. She was just as confused as Lauren was. Normani quickly came up behind them. I bet Allie's just gonna awake from her slumber and be like, Camila, what? Glancing at Lauren with concern in her eyes. They all knew how Lauren felt about Camila. The whole world knows how Lauren feels about Camila. But, except for Lauren herself. And probably Camila too. Maybe they're just both really just in denial about the whole thing. The truth is, Lauren hadn't come out in high school. She'd been outed by the girl standing right in front of them. Camila, how could you? Camila Cabello, also known as the most popular girl at their high school. She was head cheerleader, prom queen, leading role in every school play. You name it, Camila had done it. Everyone knew her name, so if I just say Lauren, Camila had done it. Boom! Whoa, 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 whoa. Yes. The small girl on the other side of the door nodded once, confirming who it was. When she didn't say anything else, the three roommates exchanged glances. I'll wake up Allie. I'm surprised she didn't wake up already, Normani said. All three of them knew the oldest girl was the best at being friendly. Lauren couldn't believe the girl she hated, with every fiber of her being, was now standing at the door of her apartment, seemingly oblivious to everything she'd done to her. Uh-oh. That's what happens. They're just like, who am I? But why is she here? How does she know where they live? I'm confused. She's over here stalking. Ooh. Dinah and Normani knew exactly how much Lauren resented the small girl. None of them had expected to see her again once they left Florida. You thought Camila was like, let me see where you at. But now, here she was, smiling like an idiot and trying to crane her neck to see into their apartment. She's like, what you got over there? She's like, let me see. Is there room for one more? We can be Fifth Harmony. That's just what she's doing. Okay. Lauren and Dinah looked at one another, stepping aside when Normani and Allie came back over to the doorway. Allie still appeared to be half asleep, but she quickly snapped out of her daze when she saw the other girl at the doorway. What? She asked, looking at Camila and then back at her roommate. What's going on? Lauren shrugged, and Dinah and Normani raised their eyebrows, as if to silently say they were just as confused as she was. Was there something you needed? Allie asked, turning back to Camila, who still stood in the doorway with a smile on her face. Lauren found it quite weird. Or you didn't think it was cute or anything? Oh, yeah, that. The smaller girl giggled and pursed her lips for a moment. I need a bed. She slipped past Allie and into the apartment, standing in the middle of the giant room and spinning in a circle to take it all in. Do you have one of those? She's just coming in for a bed? I can't. Like, Hobo Camila, rise. Dinah closed the door, shooting Lauren a questioning look. All four girls turned to one another, keeping an eye on their old classmate. What the hell? Lauren was the first to speak up, keeping her voice low so Camila couldn't hear her. Camila seemed to be off in her own little world. She seemed different. All four girls were confused. It was like she'd become a completely different person. I mean, that can happen after high school. My house, Camila shrugged. She seemed completely oblivious to the fact that the other girls in the room all had been at the receiving end of her reign of terror in high school. Do you have a bed? I need one of those. She's like that person in a horror movie that just keeps repeating the same thing, and then eventually she went, bah! Don't you have your own bed? Allie asked. She shot the other girls a pleading look, realizing she couldn't handle this on her own. Normani and Dinah stepped forward, but Lauren stayed back. She had too much built up resentment for the girl. She'd much rather leave Camila in the hallway. Yeah, but I have to walk a long way to get it. She gonna get her bed? She gonna pull some leaves? Like what? She be living in some alley, probably. Camila turned away from Allie and walked over to the couch, sitting down and picking up the TV remote. Normani turned back to Lauren and made a face of confusion. I'm confused too. She just knows where they live, first of all. She followed them all the way to New York from Miami, just for a bed. Now, what? And then she just walks into this apartment like it's hers, like she's been there for years, like they're all best friends. So, this is interesting. Don't mess with that. Dinah quickly took the remote from the small girl's hands and set it on the coffee table. That's just like Dinah trying to keep Camila in check. Because Camila definitely needs to be looked out after. Camila, you need to go home. The Polynesian girl adopted a serious tone, standing directly in front of Camila and crossing her arms over her chest. After Camila had outed Lauren, Dinah had become increasingly protective of the green-eyed girl. She didn't know why Camila was back, and she didn't care to find out. But we're friends, Camila pouted, looking up at Dinah with pleading eyes. She pursed her lips in thought for a moment before raising her finger in the air, as if she'd come across a type of revelation. Remember, we had chemistry together? Yeah, I bet you and Lauren had chemistry together. Dinah raised an eyebrow. The girl was right. Even though she'd only shown up to half of her classes, she remembered occasionally seeing Camila across the classroom. That didn't make them anything close to friends, though. She's just skipping. Typical popular people. It's like a system, huh? This is where it starts. Camila, you really need to go home, Dinah reiterated. She didn't wait for a response. Instead, she took the girl by the arm and pulled her up from the couch. She had to be Uncle Phil and kick her out. Camila only giggled as Dinah led her over to the door and out into the hallway. I have to go home? Yes. Dinah nodded, pointing towards the elevator down the hallway. Camila's smile finally faltered, but she didn't get a chance to respond before Dinah was closing the door in the small girl's face. She turned back to her roommates. Aw, Camila's like a puppy. She's like, but where do I go? She's like, I don't have a home. What the hell was that? Normani walked up beside Dinah and made sure the door was locked. All three girls knew what Camila had done to Lauren, and they knew she didn't deserve any of their hospitality. Y'all gonna give her a second chance, though? Like, I know that's harsh, but people do change. She was acting like an idiot, Lauren observed, laughing bitterly. She's right, Allie nodded. The oldest girl suddenly grew concerned. She was acting strange. Lauren shrugged and dismissed the thought. She's probably drunk. She chuckled and walked back into the kitchen. It's supposed to rain tonight, she added, trying to get her mind off of Camila. What had she been doing here? Lauren crinkled her nose, thinking back to when her high school life had taken a turn for the worse. Oh, she's still on your mind, though. 4 years ago. It's funny because it's true, Lo. Dinah laughed from across the table. Lauren looked up from her food and stuck her tongue out at her friend. There's no way he likes me. Lauren rolled her eyes. She looked back down at the table and bit her lip. Plus, he's not even cute. I'm not into guys like that. Or maybe you're not into guys at all. Dun dun dun. The voice from behind Lauren caused all four girls to look up from their phones, except for Lauren, who realized her phone wasn't sitting next to her on the table like it usually was. There was a sinking feeling in her stomach, and she turned around, knowing exactly who the voice belonged to. That's interesting. Camila laughed, scrolling through her phone in her hands. Lauren's phone. I knew you were gay, but I didn't know you were this gay, she sneered, raising an eyebrow and looking up at Lauren. I mean, this only confirms that Camila is also gay. No one cares that much unless you're that yourself. I'm just saying. Who has the time to take someone's phone and be that mean to somebody unless... Because there's always something. But okay. Because she even took her phone and read things. I would not have the time to take their phone and go through their stuff and make their lives miserable. Who? It's like Camila must have some free time and she must really be crushing on Lauren bad. Don't you dare, Cabello. Dinah shot up out of her seat. The Polynesian girl wasn't exactly sure what Camila was talking about, but she'd seen the look of horror on Lauren's face and assumed this was something important. All the girls at the table had fallen victim to Camila Cabello at one point or another, and they knew how it felt. You know, too, Camila didn't seem at all afraid of the taller girl who was now hovering over her. She waved the phone in front of Dinah's face and turned away before she could snatch it out of her hands. By now, they'd drawn the attention of the cafeteria. It was as if all eyes were on them. I don't know, Tori. Camila mocked Lauren's phone. Camila mocked Lauren's voice. Lauren's heart dropped into her chest when she realized what Camila had found. I told him I was gay, and he seemed like he was okay with it. I don't know how I'm going to tell my mother, though. Camila read through Lauren's messages and laughed, rolling her eyes. That ain't it, Camila. I knew it, Camila sneered. She tossed the phone in Lauren's direction, and Normani had to dive out of her chair to catch the device before it fell to the ground. Lauren was still frozen. Oh, Normani, I can just picture Normani doing like backflips and somersaults and then do a split and then catch it. Oh, Camila knew, huh? She just has her gaydar on. She's like going beep, beep, and then Lauren comes by and she's like beep, 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 beep. Camila wants her to be gay because we know. What the hell, Cabello? Dinah yelled after the girl who was already walking back to her table where the other cheerleaders sat waiting for her. Just as Dinah was about to go after her, a dark blur whizzed past her and out of the cafeteria. Lauren took off down the hallway into the upstairs bathroom. Oh, they got upstairs, I see. Knowing it would be empty at this time of day. The tears fell freely as soon as she was alone. Lauren had only told one person that she was gay, besides her father. She'd met her friend Tori on an online chat board, and she was the one who'd encouraged her to talk to her dad. Luckily, her father had taken it well. Lauren wished the same could be said for the rest of her school, except she'd never even had the chance to come out on her own. Camila had just done it for her, and Lauren definitely hadn't been ready. Wow, Camila, that's one thing you don't do is you don't out somebody. Because that's dangerous. That can lead to a number of things, first of all. Because if people don't accept that, if her family doesn't accept that, they can just kick her out right then and there. Nah. Camila. The dark-haired girl slid down with her back against the wall, and she let her head fall into her hands as the sobs rocked through her body. What was she going to do now? She felt sick when she imagined what everyone was saying about her right now. Even her best friends were going to hate her after this. Okay, Lauren flinched when she felt a hand on her shoulder. Dinah? She whispered, wiping her eyes and looking up at the girl standing above her. Come here, Dinah said softly, holding out her hand to help Lauren to her feet. Hesitantly, Lauren stood up. Seconds later, she was pulled into a tight hug. She felt two other pairs of arms wrap around her and couldn't hold back the second round of tears. Me neither. I'm so sorry, she managed to say while she pulled away from the hug. Her three best friends stared back at her, looking extremely concerned. Sorry for what? Dinah asked, reaching out and placing a comforting hand on her friend's shoulder. That. Lauren sighed, motioning in the direction of the cafeteria. Me. You thought we'd be mad at you? Allie spoke up, shock evident in her voice. Lauren nodded slowly, and Allie couldn't help but laugh. Lo, we don't care if you're gay. Honestly, we're happy if you're happy. Some good friends right there. Get you friends like that. The other two girls nodded in agreement, and Lauren brought her hands up to cover her mouth. You don't? God, Laura, of course we don't care, Normani added. You're still the same Lauren that you were before. Screw Cabello and whatever she thinks. She's just trying to get out of that puff, you know what I'm saying. Lauren gave them a sad smile. Thank you guys, she whispered, and seconds later she was surrounded in a group hug. And just so you know, I don't, like any of you guys in that way. Because that's a relief. What? Dinah pulled away and pouted. Why not? What's wrong with me? As Dinah would. Dinah would do that. She'd be so offended. She'd be like, am I not good enough? Am I not your type? Huh, Lauren? The girls in the bathroom all laughed, and Dinah crossed her arms teasingly. Lauren wiped her eyes, trying to make it appear like she hadn't been crying. She felt an arm link with hers and looked over at Dinah with a soft smile. Let's go show them just who they're messing with already. Dun dun dun.
Bye everyone, hope you enjoyed.